Welcome back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. We're getting back at it. Just like I say every week, we're fighting A.D.D. We're fighting the O.C.D. train of thought and getting stuck doing stuff and then getting distracted while we're doing things. And we're getting after it. We need to cut a big hole in the roof. That's the plan this weekend. We're cutting a giant hole in the roof to make room for the Legacy soft top. It'll be a rag top from about here to here. It'll crinkle up at the back. We're removing all of this sheet metal that is very heavily damaged. It looked like somebody jumped up and down on it and then filled it with body filler. That's the plan. I'm not sure if that's going to go as smoothly as I think it is. Hopefully it will. Seems pretty straightforward in installing those tops. So we're gonna tackle that. We gotta remove the old headliner. We gotta do a lot of random things. I need to clean up a little bit in here to where I can actually work my way around this thing. And yeah, I'm gonna try to not ramble. I get carried away. If you've never been here before, I get carried away with it. Also, if you've never been here before, go check out the other 40 videos. There's almost a full year worth of weekends gone into this truck. Every single Sunday, we upload something that we did to the truck. That goes over the body drop. That goes over 3-link from scratch. Stainless steel exhaust from scratch. Everything that you can do to a vehicle, we're doing to this. And everything is documented. So go back, check out all of those videos. Don't forget to subscribe. And do all the normal YouTube-y things with the likes and the comments. And let me know what you think and what... Yeah. We're just going to stop talking. I'm going to watch a tutorial video. There's a QR code on the box. Let's see if I can... It seems pretty straightforward. I haven't watched any videos yet, but I'm going to see if I can get a general idea of this. We're going to knock it out. Wish me luck. Got the rag top just loosely assembled right now. Need to put a square in here, tighten up the corners, but I just wanted to get an idea of exactly where this thing was going to sit. And this hole is going to be huge. It's going to be the majority of the roof. Legacy, I don't know if it really shows up, but they put a pretty good curve. You type in the information of what vehicle it's going to go on, and I think they just match that curve generally to your vehicle. Like this almost looks flat, but it does have pretty good arch in it, and the front is very, very arched. So I need to lay out and measure all of this and find the center of the truck. After I find the center, I'll go through, I'll square this guy up, get it set back up here, try to make this thing fit in here. I'm going to pull the headliner out first because I need to get that out of the way so I don't damage it. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but I don't want it to go to waste. Maybe it'll end up in a friend of mine's truck or something later on down the road. So I know I could just mark it out with Sharpie, but I don't know if you've ever really messed with Sharpies and painting. Sometimes Sharpies will bleed through primer, so I try to avoid it. I still acetone everything as I go, but you never know with Sharpies. Sometimes they can really screw some stuff up. One thing to keep in mind, if you look underneath the roof skin of this, which is going to make this portion hard for me to fix because this is so mangled up right here, there is a header panel, like a stamped piece of sheet metal that covers all of this underneath. So I'm hoping when I get this cut off, maybe I can fit a body spoon up in there, try and hammer and dolly it out and use the spoon as my dolly. But as it is right now, it's not looking too promising. So all I'm gonna do now is lay a bunch of tape out here just to give me something clearly visible to doodle on, because it's kind of hard to see with the Sharpie lines on top of the raw metal with the glare of my wonderful cheap Amazon lights that seem to go out every other week. So one of those things of why I'm trying to just eliminate this roof skin because it's so damaged is the tin canning that it does is pretty terrible. And the amount of heat and beat and all that I'd invest in trying to bring this back to life, I'm not really feeling it. Like I said, I would like to get it closer to the front. I'm gonna have to take some exact measurements. I'd like it to be closer to the front. I think it would look nicer, but that panel that's in there, it's kind of like the main structure of the entire roof. I could trim it. I'd like to keep it within inside of that if I could help it. I'll show you all real quick. So keep this in mind. That panel's pretty big. There is the random piece of steel that they welded the hole shut in the middle of the roof. I'm assuming it had like maybe a CB antenna or something in there. So I need to take some quick measurements and see exactly where that thing stops. You can see all the grinding marks that they put in there. It's pretty terrible. It sucks because the rest of the cab is relatively like super nice. There was a tiny bit of rust in the corner and a normal Mazda, at least normal for East Coast, Mazda rust in the floorboard, but other than that, rocker panels and cab corners look great. So this was kind of a crappy surprise. I got the measurements all lined out. Hopefully it's right. James is going to come over and hang out tonight, so he's going to double check what I did. It's a little complicated doing this by yourself. You end up having to tape the tape measure in place with a roll of painter's tape to try to keep it in place while you go to the other side and measure everything out. It's not really something that I recommend doing by yourself. Doable. I think I did it. He's going to come by, help me hold the tape measure so we can double check this. And if it's all good, we're going to cut the hole and we'll keep on trucking. But that's what we got so far. That whole rack measures roughly 16 3/4 on the inside and 35 1/2 on the outside. Finding center was kind of a pain in the butt. I thought I had center. I ended up having to redo it. So hence the blue tape helps. You just throw another piece of tape on there and go from there. I think we're good now though. So he should be here in a few minutes. And if all checks out, there's no turning back after that, I guess. All right, James came over and confirmed that I have it somewhat square. Hopefully I don't put it in and it's completely wrong. So we're gonna drill the corners. That way it's a curved edge and doesn't cause any potential splitting later on. And then we're gonna jump right into the body saw. It's gonna be really, really loud. That was super wavy. That blade was all over the place. It's all right.
It did what I thought it was going to do
Bow?
when you were cutting it.
Oh yeah. That top though, well, I mean this stuff
That's
is.
what worries me too. When you do your bolts, is your roof gonna? Oh,
No,
it has
it'll
a
draw.
sandwich plate,
It'll
right?
draw it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because it gets sandwiched.
Yeah, it has those your favorite thing in the corners. L brackets, man.
We'll make a rap song now. Cut the roof
Well, moment of truth. I'm trying to see if it
Just wanna
fits.
leave it?
Yeah,
Like,
we're good. Real tight. Well, at least it's not too big of a hole.
yes.
It just needs to be trimmed a little. I got. Well, after probably I don't know, it was over an hour for sure. The top is clamped into place, or the framing is clamped into place. And as you can tell from this wonderful gap here, with this being tight, that's how messed up the roof is. That's a dent that hopefully this thing draws back into place, and I'm still gonna have to hammer and dolly all of this. So I fixed like half the problem by just removing it with by cutting a big hole. So now that everything is set in there, we got it square. I'm just gonna go through and do one of these, all of the holes, and I'm going to drill them slightly larger. That way it can be adjusted if need be, because it more than likely will need to be adjusted.
Worst case if you don't like it, hear me out.
Permanent roadster.
No, OSB plywood and some shit. Changing the game.
How about terracotta?
Terracotta's a nice look. I've always wondered how they nail them without shattering them.
Math. It's because it's getting closer to you.
Are you getting madder?
Yeah. I'm aggressively letting it go. I took. So lift this up.
Oh, I see.
can't I get the second one to go in?
That's where I'm at. Oh, I got my second one in.
I had to turn it around.
Yeah, mine was sideways. Oh, you missed one.
No, that's the ends. I had to get this on there to find those. It's not part of this. It's its own thing because it gets bolted to the truck itself. So I gotta mark that and drill that. You put in what year or year, make, and model, and they put a curve in the material for you. They make a Mazda kit, but this is they make a Mazda kit for an extended cab. They don't. This is a universal kit for the single cab.
You want to put a bolt in the front one?
Yep, you can put all of them on if you want. I want to get it like legitimately bolted in and fitted, just to make sure everything's hunky-dory. That took way longer than it should have, and it's all, I don't know. I blame the terrible, terrible roof. As you can see, there's still gaps, and this is still wavy all along this edge, so I need to probably stud gun the dents out of this. This is a dent. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But the top's on, at least for mock-up purposes. It looks really cool open. Let's see if I can close this real quick and show y'all. The sun definitely needs to hit it so it can conform a little better and look a little smoother, but it doesn't look terrible. I haven't put the locking handle thing on there yet, so it's a little tricky getting it to open and close. Tensioning bolts. So there you go. Not too bad. Like I said, it's still up in the corners. I think sun hitting it and it conforming to the truck a little better. It'll look nicer. It doesn't look terrible. So I'm not really sure how to. I even pushed it back further than I wanted to get it onto a flatter portion of the roof, and I still got a raised corner. Not sure if that's fixable. Maybe the piece of metal that this thing is made out of, or whatever this portion is, can be contoured. I gotta look into that. Maybe call Legacy, see what they say, or one of y'all guys, because I know that y'all have installed them. But I think we're done with the body for the weekend. Tomorrow we're gonna put the battery box in. Maybe we'll make some cables. I got the circuit breakers to go behind the dash that pretty much everything's gonna be ran off of. So there's a lot of work to do. Like I said, I still got 2 pages of the list, and I took off one thing today by mocking this top up. It took way longer than I wanted it to, or expected it to, and it's all in part to this terrible roof that I keep complaining about, so I apologize. I'm gonna go inside and pass out because it's like 12:30 now. It's the next day. We are back trying to get something done. I'm gonna put the battery box in. We're gonna make another hole for another pass through for the ground. Just gotta figure out where I want that to fall into here. We're gonna run power cable from the inside of the cab wall, I think along this little channel here, somewhere into the passenger footwell, because that's going to be like a central power distribution area. I think that'll be the first thing to tackle today. One thing I didn't mention yesterday, I did opt for the gray cloth headliner. I'm not going to install it today because the top needs to come back out. It doesn't make sense to go through all that work. At some point today, I do need to remove this, and that way I can start doing body work this week, and I don't damage this thing, because it seems like it's very easy to get fingerprints on, considering rubbing on it kind of like leaves like almost like skin patches or something. I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna get at it, get something done. I have an idea. I'm gonna run by y'all again. Maybe it's like sort of like a vote in a way. I've been thinking about this. I want to keep this look of four-wheel drive, kind of rugged, but a bagged mini truck. I was thinking about, as far as this goes, the bed floor is going to be bed lined also, but the bed floor is raised so much that the rear panel doesn't cover any of this up. So all of this is exposed. That when it's going to mini nats, it's probably going to go there on a trailer because, again, it's not going to be finished. So it probably won't even be drivable by then. Other than that, I don't put trucks on trailers and trailer them places. I build them into with intentions on driving them, and if they get messed up, they get messed up. But I try to prevent that and make them tougher than they need to be. Basically, I'm gonna do rock guard on the bottom because I plan on dragging it everywhere, and I don't want the paint to get chipped and nasty. So it'll be completely rock guarded, and I try to take all the steps and plan ahead for it to last longer than it would if I just made it show truck like, I guess. Also, my entire yard is gravel. The truck will sit down on the gravel, like when I air it out. So I have to think ahead for stuff like that. It has to be tougher, lived on a patch of concrete or something. So my idea, I'm gonna go back out and look at the parts truck and I'll show y'all what I mean by this. The bed comes up and covers pretty much everything from this line down. All of this is exposed to road grime and debris and stuff getting chucked up on against the cab wall. I'm thinking because I'm going with this ruggedness, four-wheel drive-ish look, I think I'm going to do this same bed liner. I'm going to follow this line up to this body line and bed line this. That way I can just reach the garden hose in there and rinse it off if it ever gets nasty. And I don't have to worry about, at least not as easily as if it was a base coat, clear coat paint job of it getting chipped up. But we'll go out to the other Mazda, just for the guys that aren't Mazda guys, to see how much it covers and what I'm talking about. Oh, the fender fell off in the storm yesterday, or the day before. Like, you don't see any of that. But I just have to pick a point in the cab to draw and go straight down from there because it is completely covered, so you won't even actually see it. I'm just thinking of it as in making it tougher, I guess. So yeah, just let me know what you think. I think it'll look pretty cool. I mean, basically what I got now is going to be gray. The center's going to be black. I think it'll be easier to clean, easier to take care of. It'll be tougher. It'll match. I don't know. I think it'll look cool. I've been thinking about that for a couple of weeks now. I just haven't convinced myself to go through with it. Also, I'm going to add in some still shots of what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. I've been talking about buying gravel here and there and how ungodly expensive it is. The ultimate goal is to build a big shop behind the garage. When I first moved in here, where we were just now with all of the project vehicles, that was hill and woods. I cut the ground, took down well over 100 trees in total, and I've been slowly basically making this property to what I need it to be. I don't have a whole lot of property, but I've been trying to get to the point where I can build a big shop. However big the county is going to let me, I will say that. So the last couple of weeks I've been dressing up all of the gravel that I've had because the old stuff was like 5 years old, and this really has nothing to do with the video, but I figure I'd explain why I haven't been able to get out here and go full extent on the truck. So here's a couple pictures, and here's a couple pictures of what it used to look like. It's pretty bad. Using these spiffy looking domed Allen bolts. They're stainless steel, so most likely I'll regret it because I can't find my anti-seize and I'm getting tired of looking for it, so they're going in there. Hopefully they never have to come back out. And give myself very much room to work with there. I'm thinking, I got this other bulkhead here. I can put it basically down on the cable somewhere around here. Thinking these two running side by side will look kind of nice. So that's what we're going with. Hopefully it works out. I just spent, I don't know, an hour or so looking for all of my rivnut stuff. It ended up being in plain sight, right next to the rivnut supplies. I don't know. But this is looking pretty good. Got the bulkheads in, got the cables in. Nothing is in any possible way going to chafe. Bulkheads on the inside. This one is set slightly lower than this, so when the cables come off and make their way over, they won't be rubbing against each other. Got my rivnut supplies all ready. The plan is run the cables along here, thinking about maybe trying to dimple this. I don't know, it depends on how the cables look coming across here. I'm gonna be running the bench seat, so there's not really any tension on the carpet throughout here. I can't run it up here because the bench is so close to this. So I'm thinking along here, along this edge, over, and then in this general area, they'll stop. I picked up a couple different circuit breakers. I figured the 250s will work better in place of the fuses that came with this. I think it's a AVS kit. I'm still going to use these relays. I don't see anything wrong with this, but in place of the fuses, I'll use the little circuit breakers. I bought these with plans on running those power wires over into one side, and then I can branch off the other side into whatever lugs. I bought a positive and a negative. My buddy Delonte borrowed one for a car that he's building, and I forgot to reorder it. He gave me the cash, and I completely forgot. So I'll at least get the power and ground ran over there. Just, I won't have anything to hook this into. I need to make like a panel of some sort, kind of like race car-ish. Just one big panel that everything can go in and look nice-ish. So, first plan, I'm going to run some rivnuts along the tunnel. So it'll just be a couple here and there. That way I can run my cable clamps and keep that cable nice and tight against that trans tunnel. I'm going to do everything in 1/4-20 because that's what I have an abundance of, and it's simple just to make everything the same thing. So yeah, I'm just going to drill a bunch of holes and add a whole bunch of rivnuts and then make some cables. That's the plan. Stop rambling. This is a rivnut. It's a rivnut gun. They're really, really simple, and they've recently become cheap. They used to be kind of pricey, but it's as simple as you put them into sheet metal, you squeeze, it dimples the rivnut and pinches the sheet metal around it, so the sheet metal would go in between this crack right here, or gap, and that, you see these on everything. Like, this is a factory thing. A lot of theirs are welded in, but real simple. You just drill a hole. I like to use a uni-bit just because it's more forgiving for the sheet metal, and I can go kind of slow with it. So yeah, we're gonna knock a bunch of those out. Probably should have did this before the sound in there, but it'll be all right. Really nothing to these things. Try not to drill into anything important like the transmission. They sell fancier tools than this that have like quick release and they're made better. This thing was like $40 and it works perfectly fine. They sell even cheaper ones, so I just tried to find something that had good reviews on Amazon. Battery cables are made. I have a huge mess to clean up. This is where we're at so far. Positive, negative. I have just a generic fuse holder. This little cover goes over it. I wanted to do a fuse from just anywhere near the battery to be able to disconnect it. I didn't see any of the little circuit breakers that I actually liked that had large lugs on it. I know I could have ran something like this there. I wanted full power delivery to the alternator and starter lug and the firewall. But this is where we're at. It's some of these things still need to be clamped in place. This wire needs to be ran, a little ground in the cover, but it looks pretty good so far. I'm happy with it. I know that I took out a couple inches of the front portion of this and laid it down in there and made it work. So I know that the carpet has a little extra room to potentially move around. So I think the slack that would have been there is going to be hopefully taken up by this, and it won't be a problem. But this has an end on it, so whenever I come up with my fuse panel holder thing, I can just hook this up and wire everything in. Like I said, this is the power for the starter and the alternator. I think that's pretty good progress for inside the cab. I got maybe an hour or so left that I can continue to work on this. A lot of sitting out here and staring at this, contemplating what I wanted to do. Took up a good portion of the day, which kind of sucks. That's what ends up happening. I think about it and think about it and think about it, and then I do something, and I take it off, and I do something again, and I take that off, and then I just end up basically going back to the original plan. But I got the plastic things that go here, over in that bucket. We're going to hook up the sandblaster real quick and see if the paint actually comes off of those, because I meant to do that last weekend, but I didn't get around to it. And if the paint comes off, I'll strip those and get those ready. It's too cold to paint today, but we'll get them ready and try and spray them this week. For one thing, the new air compressor that I put in, way better than the old compressor. I thought that my blast cabinet was just kind of crappy. I mean, it's still not the best blast cabinet, but with a constant supply of air, way different. So this is, after sanding it just quickly, not going super smooth yet, with 400 grit on the DA. This is how it came out of the blast cabinet. You can actually see the pigtails from them sanding it with the DA over and over and over from all of the years of it being painted. I saw baby blue, white, 3 layers of primer, that nasty, terrible green, black, and then primer on top of that. All kinds of paint on this thing. It's like every time they're like, well, we're just going to revamp the truck. All they did was paint it. They didn't fix any of the actual issues with the truck. They just slathered another layer of paint on there. But it's getting kind of late. I think I got enough daylight to mow the grass. Try and get this thing edited and to y'all before midnight. So I will see y'all again next Sunday. We'll be chipping away again. We made pretty good progress. This opens up a lot. With the top here, now that the hole's cut, I can go in there, I can hammer and dolly. Maybe we'll get the cabin primer next week. I haven't checked the weather, but it's been pretty cold lately. And like I've said before, I do not want to put my mini split through a paint job. It says right now it's supposed to be around 60 all week and 70 on Saturday. But that's an entire week from now, so that's going to change 10 times. So again, never been here before, please subscribe, do all the normal YouTube things. Let me know what y'all think on? Do you agree with me on the cab wall? And yeah, see y'all next week.